Before I start, I'd like to thank GSFC University for giving me this opportunity to come speak today. And I had been a visiting lecturer here 6 years ago. I'd just taken 1 or 2 sessions, but the university's grown so much since then. So congratulations to the team and what you all have achieved here. Now, coming back to Akshata's question. Akshata, I know, I get this very often that when my bio is read, everyone finds it amazing. But I just want to let everyone know here that I went to a very small Gujarat board school in Ahmedabad. And I didn't always have fancy accolades, and I did start from scratch, right? Everything. So it's possible for anyone to get into a big university, do great things in life. You just have to dream big. When I was a school student, I always was very ambitious. I loved science. Science really excited me. Sometimes I would read about something in astrophysics or biotechnology and start crying. It would excite me so much. And when I was applying for colleges, I did want to go abroad. So when I was applying for colleges, everyone who was helping me, everyone said around me that we're applying for colleges that are very out of my reach. So based on my marks, my scores, my school also, it was just such a small Gujarat board school that internationally no one recognized it. And when you apply for US colleges, fees are very high, application fees are very high, but I convinced my father, please make this investment in me. And you just, what you can do is just try your best. You never know where your luck will take you. So I think Johns Hopkins, when I got into that university, it was my dream come true as well. I never imagined that I would actually go get it. I applied, but I never thought I would actually get it. And when I went there, I was one of the top students in my school. And Hopkins was a realization about myself. I learned how little I knew. When you are in a well, you think you're the smartest of everyone else, but when I went to that university where everybody was so smart, it was a realization and kind of a very humbling experience to learn that I knew very little and my journey is just beginning. So it was extremely exciting, and university life, I tried everything. I would go for any lecture that was open to all students. I've gone for astrophysics lessons, I've gone for business lessons, and I picked up so many skills from there, which now I apply in my life. So I would really urge all the students here as well to not just limit yourself to your field of study, but be curious, because this is the age of generalists. If you're technically good in what you're studying or what you're doing, you'll be able to progress in your career. But if you want to be a leader, if you want to lead a company, if you want to be a CEO, you have to be a generalist. You need to know about finance, you need to know about technology, you need to know about HR. So it's now not enough to just know about your subject, but truly know about everything that's going around you.
Hello ma'am, the next question from my side. What initiated you into this work and how has your journey been so far?
Sorry, could you repeat that? I didn't get it.
What initiated you towards the kind of work you do and how has your journey been so far?
Yeah, so I actually, I think we're brought up in our culture, Indian culture that way, where everyone is taught from the moment they're children that we need to give back to the society. I'm sure in everybody's families, at some point that those values are instilled in us. So I always wanted to do something to benefit the society, and I really believe that science and healthcare was the way to do it because that was my subject. But back of the mind, I stayed away for 12 years outside India, and I always wanted to come back to India and give back to the society. But what actually brought me to India is marriage. When I decided to get married to my now husband, I came back to India, and everyone in my family and his family was also asking that, aren't you going to regret leaving a career like this and after such an education come to a city like Baroda, which is not even Bombay, Delhi, or a big city like that? And I said, if it's in my nature to regret, I'll regret no matter where I am. But I made the best of what I had when I came here, and there's a little story which I'd like to share. So Samaj Suraksha Sankul, the institute residential institute for orphans and disabled children that we manage. I'd gone there just because the Deepak Foundation had adopted that institute, and there were about 20 children with visual impairment and physically challenged children over there. And I went there the first time, I went there the second time. I started going every time I came to Baroda, and it wasn't pity or the feeling that I want to help these children, but just being there and spending time with them filled my heart with so much joy that it wasn't a decision that I want to start doing social work. It just serendipity, I was just taken with the flow, and I kept going deeper and deeper into what I was doing, and that became my full-time profession. So now at Sankul, even with children, they're orphans, they come from very traumatic backgrounds. Sometimes, they've seen their parents fight, and they've had experience with domestic violence. Sometimes, there are cases where the mother has killed the father because the father was abusing or hitting the mother. And these children see these things and then come to the institute. So they come from very traumatic background. But there is so much resilience in these children. They somehow find joy in life despite having, seen so much misery. And I think that is something that I really value in my interactions with them, and that's something that they really teach me about life. And some of you have been here, especially in the faculty, some of you have been to Samaj Suraksha Sankul, and the biggest, I would say USP of the institute is the children, and the children are just so happy. They don't know they know they have a disability, but they don't let that get in the way, or they don't let their backgrounds get in the way of what's possible for them.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello ma'am, my question is कि according to you, सोशल वर्क करना ज़रूरी है या सबको करना चाहिए, या सबका अपने आप से होता है कि नहीं मुझे सोशल वर्क करना है तो मैं करूँ ऐसे?
See, social work है ना, it is not a profession, right? It is an attitude. आप एक कंपनी भी चला सकते हो जिसमें आप 20 लोगों को जॉब दिला रहे हो, तो वो भी एक सोशल वर्क है. शायद वो 20 लोगों को जॉब नहीं मिलती अगर आपने कंपनी स्टार्ट नहीं किया है. तो ज़रूरी नहीं है कि अगर आप सोशल वर्क के प्रोफेशन में हो तो ही सोशल वर्क कर सकते हो या तो ही सोसाइटी के लिए कुछ कर सकते हो. You need to have that attitude in everything you do. If you're running an engineering company, or if your job is, let's say in a big company, कोई chemical company में आपका job है कि कोई factory या plant का देखभाल करना है, and if there is a fire safety course here, and if you're a fire safety officer, you really care for the lives of people involved in that factory. That's social work. You don't take your job lightly. You know कि अगर आपकी job में आपसे कुछ छूट गया तो किसी की जान जा सकती है. So this kind of attitude is what we all need to imbibe in whatever we are doing.
Thank you, ma'am. So my question is, with what thought do you start your each day? What keeps you motivated?
So, I don't know if anyone can relate here, but when हमारी students की training ही ऐसे होती है कि keep working hard, वो hard work करो, hard पढ़ाई करो, and that trauma lasts lifetime. और वो पढ़ाई, it takes different, phases. It's not just पढ़ाई, पर फिर काम करो. कुछ काम है कि नहीं है वो अलग बात है, पर सुबह उठ के पहले यही थॉट आता है. How many of you still get nightmares about exam? आप तो भी फिर भी खैर स्टूडेंट एज के हो, बट I'm sure यहाँ फैकल्टी में भी अभी तक ऐसे नाइटमेयर्स आते हैं कि एग्जाम का पेपर है, या लेट हो रहे हैं, या शीट्स नहीं है, या फिर कोई अलग सब्जेक्ट के लिए पढ़ाई कर दी. So I think I'm still a student like that in my mindset. Every morning I wake up and I just feel there is so much to do and I'm lagging behind. And I think that I know it is a little harsh on oneself and you every day feel like itna kuch karna hai, but I know that people are directly benefiting from the work that I'm doing, and it's my duty to give my every working hour or every bit of मेरे में जो भी capabilities हैं, मेरे में जो भी whatever is possible for me to do, I owe it to them to do it for them. So I really, when I feel कि lazy कि चलो आज नहीं करना है, I do allow myself some of those days as well. But अगर when you're feeling lazy या फिर demotivated, I really try to imagine the children that I work for. You know, I see their faces, imagine their faces in front of me, and that gets me back on the saddle.
Thank you. Ma'am, so I wanted to know in detail about the work you do. Like, what is the specifically what do you do for them?
Right. So at the foundation, I specifically, my role is to come up with innovative ideas. Right? अभी जो social problems हैं, वो तो they're not going to get solved in 1, 2, 5 or 10 years. ये centuries से चले आ रहे हैं. अगर you know there is discrimination between men and women, तो ये आज का नहीं है, ये तो कितने सालों से, हजारों सालों से चला आ रहा है. So social change takes time, and just sorry, I'll come back to your question and then revisit this topic. But basically, my job is to do strategy, and when any social problem we have are they're so ancient that they cannot be solved by just putting money in it. ऐसा होता तो अभी तक तो कोई problem ही नहीं रहता. पैसे तो enough है in the world. And there are enough philanthropists giving money as well. So you need to have very innovative projects or innovative solutions to tackle these problems. So my role is to come up with those those innovative solutions. We work across healthcare, education, skills building, disability, और जो बच्चों के साथ मैं directly काम करती हूँ वो भी. In healthcare, we work with EB, one of our new projects that I mentioned, which is my role to bring to the table. We've recently started palliative care. How many of you here know what palliative care is? Not many. How many of you here know what cancer is? Everybody, right? And in the West or in developed countries, the day a patient is diagnosed with cancer, they are given palliative care. Palliative care is mainly pain management. जब pain होता है, तो वो उसको कैसे manage करना है? And also spiritual and psychological well-being. You know, questions मेरे साथ ऐसा क्यों हुआ? How do I deal with this pain? What will happen to me? There is so much that comes to a patient's mind, but we don't know how to deal with it. And India में there are no services available. Poor, rich, किसी के लिए भी ये service available है ही नहीं. So we started a palliative care project for extremely poor. So all my projects are only for low economic section of the society, and we provide palliative care services for patients at SHG hospital, जो जिनका cancer treatment वहाँ पे चल रहा है. And हमारा palliative care center जो है वो सिर्फ patients नहीं but उनके relatives को भी रहने की जगह देता है, उनको खाने पीने का. We give them food and other services as well. So this is one of our newest, most innovative projects जो नहीं कर रहे इतने ज़्यादा organizations in India. We also work with farmers. Organic farming ज़्यादा भी so organic farming help them with market linkages कि वो बना रहे हैं, उनका जो भी produce हो रहा है, बहुत सारा wastage भी होता है, उनका time पे बिकता नहीं है, बिगड़ जाता है, wastage होता है. So we work with farmers in tribal areas, Chota Udaipur, में Madhya Pradesh और महाराष्ट्र के rural areas में भी. And in skills building, we give for urban population courses offer करते हैं जहाँ से उनको job मिल सकता है. कई बार बच्चे 10th तक, you know, they're from poor backgrounds, तो मुश्किल से 10th पास हो करते हैं, फिर job prospects उनके या तो housekeeping में होता है या बहुत low level की jobs होती है. तो we offer courses जहाँ उनको they have a scope to grow every year and progress in their career. ऐसा नहीं कि ये काम करें तो पूरी life वही काम करते रहे. So these are some of our courses, some of our activities that we do at the foundation, but it's a 40-year-old organization. So, and we have 98 projects. So I won't be able to cover everything, but I invite everyone to go to the website and see everything that we do.
Thank you, ma'am.
Excuse me. This way. Ma'am, the question is, what is your take on students, high school or undergrad, on their role in society and social work?
Yeah, so I think do a bit of research, देखो कि what other organizations are doing to help the society, and just reach out to them and engage and ask for engagement. Everybody is looking for volunteers. Everyone will give a student a chance who has their heart in the right place and want to do some good. So my first social work experience was when I was only 16 years old. I used to go to a home where slum children were taken in and they were put in good schools, and I used to go there as a storyteller. So I think you can start at any age, reach out. And I would really, I would like to share a story here, how I got my PhD at Oxford. How did I get that seat? So when I was finishing my undergraduate, I wanted to do a PhD later, but my father, I'm sure a lot of girls can relate here. Everyone feels कि नहीं पहले शादी कर लो, फिर आगे जो करना है वो शादी के बाद करना. But I really wanted to do it, so I kept insisting. I thought कि एक बार मिल जाएगा ना ऑक्सफोर्ड में PhD तो कोई ना नहीं बोलेगा कि मत जाऊँगी. So behind his back, I kept trying. I wrote to at least 100 supervisors inside scientists who run a lab जहाँ पे वो आपको PhD position दे सकते हैं across the world. Australia में किया, US में किया, UK में किया, India में किया. And I think सिर्फ 4 to 5 of them responded. Four people responded, saying that we can consider आपका interview लेंगे, consider करेंगे. And I had taken all the top supervisors, all the top scientists from every country. And then when I went for my interview to Sir Walter Bodmer, who was the chair of the Genome Project, I couldn't believe that. I was just एक email लिखा था, सब में सिर्फ नाम और वो सब change करके मैं copy paste करके रात को this was my timetable. Okay, every night from 9 to 9:30 I will just find कहाँ पे मैं apply कर सकती हूँ और emails भेजूँगी मेरे CV के साथ. So I literally, it was shooting in the dark, but some people responded. So to my shock, I was then invited to an interview to Oxford. I never thought that this would materialize. It was just, we have to put in some effort, कहीं apply तो करना पड़ेगा, इसलिए मैंने किया. And they paid for my flight from US to UK. They paid for my accommodation there. And my parents visited UK क्योंकि उनको लगा ये क्या हो रहा है, इतना जल्दी PhD अभी ये सब interview भी दे रही है. And after, at the end of my interview, Sir Walter Bodmer said that I'm happy to take you in, but you will have to pay for your own fees or you will have to get a scholarship because I can't support you. And UK international students, Oxford ki fees are a lot, they're in crores. So I said, I'll guarantee you that I'll take care of my fees. And he said, how? So then I talked to my father. I said, can you please give guarantee? And he's like, I don't have this kind of money. I've already paid so much for your undergraduate. I don't have this kind of money. I'm not going to say it. I said, I will not take your money. I just need you to write a letter right now. Okay, आप pay करोगे अगर मुझे scholarship नहीं मिली. So he wrote that letter. And then next 3-4 months, I kept applying for scholarships. Fortunately, I got one. But this is the thing about life, and I really, right now, when I feel like things are not working out, I remind myself of these experiences. Okay? Every stage pe, there were so many difficulties, and it just seemed impossible. Kaisa hoga? But it happened. So even here, like if you all feel okay, kuch aapko karna hai, but it's out of your reach, just keep trying and take one step at a time, and you will get there. Sorry, this story makes me really emotional because it was like one of the biggest things that changed my life.
Thank you, ma'am.
It was a very wonderful story, ma'am. So my next question is कि आप इतने सक्सेसफुल हो तो आपके अकॉर्डिंग हमारे अंदर क्या क्वालिटीज होनी चाहिए?
मुझे नहीं लगता है मैं सक्सेसफुल हूँ अभी भी मुझे, and I genuinely want to, because you all are students, I really want to share this. I want my vulnerabilities with you all as well, because I relate very strongly कि मैं आप लोगों की एज में थी तब मैं कैसी थी. अभी भी मुझे कभी बार इतना रोना आ रहा है कि आता है कि मैं क्या कर रही हूँ. What am I doing? Am I like going in the right thing? Have I achieved enough? Have I done enough? So this questioning will last lifelong. Even my father, he's almost retired, but he still thinks, okay, what do I want out of life? So this is a lifelong process. but speaking of qualities, there are some which I would really, like I said, shared the earlier story also, is never take no for an answer. You know, there was this very famous book, जहाँ से मेरी favorite line थी, कि no is not an answer, it's just a beginning of a conversation. And I really imbibe this in my life, about in everything, in my profession and my personal life. अभी मुझे कोई देखता है ना, कभी इवन गवर्नमेंट, वी वर्क विद द गवर्नमेंट अ लॉट, मेरी इंप्रेशन ही ये हो गई है कि ये तो ना सुन के जाएगी, नहीं तो जल्दी काम खत्म करके जो चाहिए उनको भेज दे दो. But another story I would like to share is, so 6-7 years ago I went to Everest base camp, and for various reasons my passport wasn't, the visa application, again my parents didn't want me to go. I was going in December, I was traveling alone, so my parents were feeling very nervous. And मेरी flight दिल्ली से थी नेपाल, और मैं दिल्ली एयरपोर्ट ऑलमोस्ट काउंटर क्लोज हो रहा था, वहाँ पहुँची, and he said where's your passport, and I said कि I don't have my passport. मैंने नेपाल की वेबसाइट में देखा था कि you can go with your आधार कार्ड or driving license. तो he said कि you can't travel without your passport, this is an international airport. मैंने बोला कि नहीं, देखिए आपकी वेबसाइट पे है कि यू कैन गो. ही सेड दैट इज व्हेन यू आर क्रॉसिंग द बॉर्डर बाय लैंड. अगर आप फ्लाइट ले रहे हैं तो यू हैव टू हैव योर पासपोर्ट, एंड नहीं तो आप इमिग्रेशन क्रॉस नहीं कर सकते. फिर आई केप्ट आर्ग्यूइंग विद हिम, तो ही सेड आई कांट डू एनीथिंग, गो एंड टॉक टू द इमिग्रेशन ऑफिसर. एंड दिस वाज एट 5:30 in the morning. So I ran across the airport क्योंकि एक तो काउंटर बंद हो रहा है, and I went to the immigration officer office. 2-3 ऑफिसर्स सो रहे थे वहाँ पे, सुबह के 5:30-6 बजे थे. एंड आई वाज लाइक, सर दिस इज द केस एंड आई हैव अ जेरोक्स. मेरे पास ब्लैक एंड वाइट जेरोक्स थी मेरे पासपोर्ट की, एंड दे जस्ट डिडंट, ही सो ही रहे थे, एंड ही सेड नॉट पॉसिबल. एंड आई वाज लाइक, सर आई एम नॉट गोइंग ऑन एनीवेयर अंटिल यू हेल्प मी क्रॉस द इमिग्रेशन. फिर उन्होंने ऐसे धीरे से आँख खोली, फिर बात किया कि आई वॉज वेरी यंग, आई वॉज इन माई मिड 23-24 ईयर्स की थी तब. एंड कुछ उन्होंने मेरी जेरोक्स ले ली. आई वॉज लाइक, मैं घर वापस आऊँगी तो मेरे पेरेंट्स बोलेंगे बोला था तुझे कि तू नहीं जा सकती, बोला था डोंट डू दिस. एंड आई एम नॉट गोइंग बैक होम टू हियर दैट. सो आई स्टूड देयर. ही वेंट विथ माई जेरोक्स, ही डिड समथिंग, एंड ही सेड ओके गो. And I just ran back to the counter, took my boarding pass, went to the immigration. और वो immigration वाला इसमें, I gave him my Xerox copy of the passport instead of the passport, and he's like, ये क्या है मैडम? I said कि I don't have my passport, but the immigration officer said I can go. He made a call and everything. And he said कि मेरे 30 साल के career में पहली बार मैं किसी को passport के बिना immigration control pass करने दे रहा हूँ. So it was an anomaly, but you know, whenever I feel helpless, I think about these stories where I have overcome challenges and done the impossible, and it's not कि बहुत smart हूँ या कुछ out of the ordinary कर दिया. It's just persistence and not taking no for an answer. So that is one quality I would say that's helped me come this far in life. Second is resilience. You know, I have bad news for everyone. Bad days will come more often than good days in our lives. But that's just something we all have to live with. And one coping mechanism I have is whenever I have failures, next minute I go and do something to build something new. For example, again, I had gotten this job after my PhD in Switzerland. And after waiting for 3 months, I didn't get my visa for that trip.
So, does it get monotonous to do things every day? Does it get monotonous to do things every day?
Absolutely. And you know, my personality is such that I hate routines. कि आज सुबह उठ के यही करना है. So, but I think it's our responsibility कि हम कुछ नया हमारी lives में लाए ताकि we don't feel it's monotonous. And it's the same with our jobs also. You know, I've also worked in a company before I took a leading position in our own organization, but I had other employers in the past, and मुझे बहुत monotonous कभी लगता था कि यार क्या बैठ के वही की slides बनानी है, reports लिखनी है. So I started doing or trying to do without telling anyone what my seniors were doing. if my senior's job was for one to get new clients, I would observe them कि ये क्या कर रहे हैं, कैसे कर रहे हैं, and I would do the same thing कि किसी को email लिख दिया या किसी को phone कर दिया या ask someone for a contact कि यहाँ पे आप किसी को जानते हो जिससे मैं बात कर सकती हूँ. And 99% of the time people will slam doors on your face, but you only need that one person to say yes and open their door for things to change for you. So I think yes, things will get monotonous even for you all when you move out and job kar rahe hain kahin. But it is your responsibility to look out for things that excite you, to take action to proceed in those things.
Thank you. Ma'am, you just said that you had pursued your higher education in US and then you pursued PhD in Oxford. So when you came back to India, was the transition like into social work that too? So was that transition difficult for you, or how did you cope up with the transition?
Yeah, it was very difficult for me for sure. One thing I saw is, or one thing that was most difficult was I thought कि थोड़ा लोगों में है ना professionalism कम था. People would join and just एक हफ्ते में for no reason they will leave, और कहीं 1000 ज़्यादा मिल रहा है तो they'll leave and they'll go there, which you know the way I was trained and the values that were given is that invest किसी भी चीज़ you have to invest at least some amount of basic time for things to work out. So ये छोटी छोटी you know people would say कि हाँ हाँ कर देंगे फिर चीज़ें होती नहीं हैं, तो ये सब मुझे बहुत frustrating, अभी भी बहुत frustrating लगता है that you know people do this. But I try to keep my patience, and also you know this is the environment that is there, and it's as a manager it's my job to get the best out of people that are in my team. So I try to work more on myself than trying to change someone else about this.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, coming down to negotiations, you just said that never take no for an answer. But there's also another saying, learn to say no. Now, you just said that you have to manage a team of people. There's a very thin line that you must have to walk between those two negotiations. How do you do that best, or how do you suggest that everybody does that best?
You know, I don't have the answer to that because I am also still very bad at saying no. But I have a child now. I mean, I have a toddler at home. So in the recent years, I've learned to really like prioritize and say no. But it's not easy. I do get that, and I unfortunately, sorry, I don't have any tricks or any advice to give here. It's the most difficult thing to do, say no. And I think especially as women, because you know, somewhere even with all the equality and all the modern and progressive thoughts, somewhere it's still, you know, women feel that we have to please everyone. Some people pleaser thoda banna padta hai, you know, sab thoda obedience mein chalna padta hai, and all of those things. So I know it's hard to say no, and it's not ke basically you don't want to say no because you feel you'll hurt someone's feelings more than any. You're not scared कि क्या हो जाएगा, but you just feel यार किसी ने पूछा है तो चलो ना कर देते हैं. If someone needs help, let's help them. So I also struggle till date. So I'm not the best person to ask this question to, but
That's fine. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We request all the students sitting here, if you have any questions, any queries in your mind, anything that you would like to know about Dr. Mehta, we leave the stage open to each and every one of you.
Good morning, ma'am. My name is Ruchi Mehta. I'm from BSc Biotechnology first year. So I just wanted to ask that when I was hearing you, I could actually feel that you must have went through various kinds of ups and downs. So there must be a point where you have felt that just give up on everything and think over it, like again what we are doing, and you must have think that what am I doing right now, will it be fruitful in the future? So how do you deal with that, the feeling of giving up on like everything?
Yeah, I think I really am very grateful for my father for imbibing this quality in me. Every time my natural response to everything was to cry. कुछ भी हुआ ना बस बैठ के रोना, पहले तो बैठ के रो, फिर सोचेंगे कि आगे क्या करना है. So my natural response was to cry and feel dejected and really just take the defeat. But my father, जैसे मैंने बायो में भी बोला कि engineers without borders में साउथ अफ्रीका काम करने गई थी. Again मेरी half my failure stories और hardship stories in my student life were to do with visas only. तो उसका वीज़ा टाइम पे नहीं आया, तो मैं इतना रोने लगी कि मैंने इतनी प्लानिंग की थी, मैं यहाँ वहाँ जाके ये करूँगी वो करूँगी. आई वर्क सो हार्ड बिकॉज देयर आर ओनली few students who were selected to go to South Africa for this. And I thought like I did everything, I worked so hard and now for such a stupid reason I won't be able to go. So the whole day I kept crying. My dad came back from office in the evening and he said what happened, and I told him. He was like, why are you crying? Get up and think about what you're going to do about this. एंड मैं रात की ट्रेन से बॉम्बे गई, सुबह एम्बेसी में जाके मैंने वीज़ा कलेक्ट किया, वहाँ पे कुछ पेपर्स देने थे, मैंने वो दिया एंड फिर मैं दोपहर की फ़्लाइट से साउथ अफ्रीका गई. सो आई थिंक एवरी टाइम आई वुड फील बहुत कभी एग्ज़ाम में कुछ गलती हो गई, होता है ना, सब बाहर निकल के आंसर्स डिस्कस करते हैं, तो उसमें पता चला रही मेरा आंसर गलत हो गया, दैन अगेन आई वुड स्टार्ट क्राइंग. एंड 10th की बोर्ड एग्जाम में ही हुआ था, होल डे आई केप्ट क्राइंग. And my father came home and was like, stop crying and study for the next exam. Abhi exams baki hai. So I think this general, like I said earlier also, that whenever you feel defeated या कुछ बहुत बुरा हो गया इतनी मेहनत करके, या I really wanted this but I didn't get it, immediately start working on something else or try to fix what you've not gotten. And होता ही है. Very rarely have I met with roadblocks. There are difficulties and it may seem like a roadblock, but थोड़ी मेहनत करोगे तो you'll be able to overcome that as well.
Hello ma'am, good morning. I'm Neil. So ma'am, I just have one question, and that is like, you had this stressful student life. You went to Hopkins and that is a very good university, and then you came here and started with social work. So I would like to just ask that even right now, like GSFC has organized food distribution. So as an individual and a student which is an 18-year-old, what can I do on a solo basis for social work? Any suggestions?
I think we're all stronger together. So rather than starting something of your own, I would really urge, especially if you've not done social work in the past, work with an organization that is doing so. And work with the couples, because every organization has a very different culture and very different outlook towards social work. So I would really recommend work with a few, see what you like, you will learn a lot from them, and then go out to do something on your own. To start with, you can just, and I'll perhaps my contact details can be shared with my email address can be shared with the students. If anyone wants to share their CV or wants to do something in social work, we're happy to look at your application as well. It will be very hard, so everyone needs to be prepared for it, because you have to very often work in rural areas, you have to work in very poor conditions, AC offices नहीं होती, कभी कभी सिर्फ हेड ऑफिस में होती है, फिर बाकी जगह जब तो टीम में काम कर रहे हो, फील्ड पे काम कर रहे हो, तो दे आर वेरी हार्श कंडीशंस, एंड you have to be mentally prepared for that, and you have to be mentally prepared कि ऐसा नहीं है कि 1 महीना सोशल वर्क में काम किया या 1 साल सोशल वर्क में काम किया तो I will feel very good कि मैं अच्छा काम कर रहा हूँ. You will only feel that there is still so much to be done and you're not being able to do enough. So even now I feel happy about the work I do, but more often than that I just feel there is so much more to do. So yeah.
Yes ma'am, actually there's one more question. You went from researching in Oxford and then came to India and transitioned into social working and helping others. So how has that been for you?
So like I said, when I was a young student, I loved science. So that's why I went to do my whatever I studied and did my PhD. But when I was doing my PhD, I learned this about myself, that kind of lifestyle was not for me. To be in a lab, वहाँ पे interactions with other people is less. Your research, it will take a lot of years before it can impact a patient directly. So I wasn't very happy with, I couldn't see the impact of my work. Of course, it's important, scientific development, it all adds up together and then finally breakthrough hota hai. But that was not enough for me. So that's why I went into working with a firm that worked with NHS, National Health Service, जो UK का है, where I felt like whatever work I do, मैं जो thesis बना के या research बना के share कर रही हूँ NHS के साथ, वो implement करेंगे तो people will benefit from it. So that way, even now in social work, I do feel that what I do has a direct impact on someone's life.
Thank you
So
so
it is
much.
more rewarding for sure.
Thank you so much for your guidance, ma'am.
Hello ma'am, my name is Deepak Foundation from BTech CSE. So you talked about persistence and resilience a lot in this session. So when did you realize that these are the qualities that are important in one's life?
Just जब किसी चीज़ से सक्सेस मिलता है ना तो वो automatically your mind registers that this is something I need to do again. So like I shared my stories earlier, okay, जब when I felt dejected, but I went, I persisted in getting what I wanted. और उसका outcome positive निकला, then that became, that goes in your DNA. Then every time you get a challenge like that, you know कि persist करो तो निकल ही जाओगे इसके पास इससे पार. And कभी-कभी ऐसा भी होता है that there is no option to fail. अगर मतलब जैसे नेपाल का स्टोरी मैंने शेयर किया था, मैं घर वो तो ऑप्शन ही नहीं था कि मैं वापस घर जाऊँ. तो that's also something that pushes you to persist. Have I answered your question? I'm not sure.
Yes, sure ma'am. Thank you.
Okay.
Hello ma'am, my name is Viraj. I wanted to ask that what was the role of your friends in this journey of yours, and I also wanted to ask that you said that you went on a solo trip to Himalayan regions. So I wanted to ask that what did you thought when about going on a solo trip so far from civilization alone? And,
there are two questions. I'll take the friends question first. Friends definitely play a very important role, and I think by default I'm a person who has some few very close friends. I enjoy going out in big groups as well, but I think it's true for everyone. Everyone will have one or two very best friends, and then you will have a part, you'll be a part of a larger group as well. But who close friends were also always friends who were hardworking and ambitious. Not ambitious necessarily, but hardworking, and I always would feel very motivated by them. Or maybe I picked my best friends based on the fact that they were like that. So I think they played a huge role in motivating me and setting a tone कि इतनी मेहनत तो करनी ही है और इतना तो करना ही है. So I do influence, friends का influence तो बहुत ही रहता है, especially when you're in your teenage years and early 20s. And to answer your second question about traveling alone, I've taken multiple solo trips. I've also been to South America on my own for 1.5 months. And ऐसा नहीं था कि मेरे को अकेले जाना है. It was just, you make plans with friends. और सब बोलते हैं हाँ चलते हैं, and then फिर end में it doesn't materialize. People back out for various reasons. And I just didn't want to keep waiting for someone else to do the things that I wanted to do. So I just went ahead and booked the trips and did those things. And anyone who feels my family would never allow, I want to say that my family also never allowed. I was the first one in my family to do these things, and then my brother, I have a younger brother, so he also did those things, but we have to be the change makers in our family. In a polite, kind way, don't fight with your parents.
Good morning, ma'am. My name is Ruchi Mehta. I am from BSc Biotech. I have two questions to ask. The first one is, generally when we start doing any work or when we do a task or something, there is always a lot of hatefulness from people around you. I mean, whenever, even if it's asking a stupid question, people will start passing comments. So how do you deal with that kind of hatefulness and negativity? And the second question is, in a professional background, we have to have certain type of attitude, certain type of behaviors, but there is always something going on in our personal lives. So how do we keep both of them managed?
Excellent question, especially the second one. I'll first address your first question about the negativity in workplace. वो तो पूरी society में, it's everywhere, in your family, in your friends, in your workplace. The way I deal with is indifference. कुछ बोला है ना, I tell myself, मैं भले, I mean, not necessarily that I'm above everyone, but I tell myself that कि मुझे तो अभी बहुत आगे बढ़ना है और बहुत कुछ करना है. I don't want to be walked. I don't want to give these comments any mind space. And this comes with practice. जितना आप ignore करना सीखोगे, उतना it will come more naturally to you, and it will get easier. Life does get easier, you know, because as you grow older, you learn to deal with these things better. You have more tools, and you're better equipped to deal with all of these things, be it hard times or negativity around you. So keep telling yourself, कुछ किसी ने अगर कुछ बोल दिया या कुछ हो गया, तो just say कि मैं तो इन सब से बहुत ऊपर हूँ, and keep moving, or work hard to prove them wrong. Right? If something is working positively for you, then either of those two options you can adopt. And to your question, second, yes, and this is something everybody struggles with. कि personal life में issues होते ही हैं. I've also faced quite a bit of issues in my personal life, and you know, sometimes I couldn't share that in my workplace. तो मैं नहीं बता पा रही थी उनको कि क्यों मैं घर जल्दी जा रही हूँ या मैं नहीं आ पा रही हूँ workplace पे. And I'm sure people thought that I'm not being professional or because I'm privileged में फ़ायदा ले रही हूँ मेरी position का और वो सब. But I think you just need to bounce out of that also, your personal situation. You need to give that time as well, right? We're all human beings at the end. We have emotions, we have families for whom we want to be there. So वो सब चीज़ें, take your time off work to do it, and then go back to your professional life. You can also find a mentor or someone to confide in your professional life. कई बार your manager or whoever you're reporting to, your reporting officer, can be that person. I think everyone should be given one chance. आपको लगेगा कि ऐसा मैं कैसे share कर सकती हूँ मैं managing reporting officer के साथ. But try to share once and see how they're reacting to it. Sometimes they may understand and give you the benefit of doubt, and sometimes they may not, but know that you are not unique when you have to deal with personal situations, when you have to find the balance between these two. Everybody has to go through it, and just let it pass.
Good morning, ma'am. My name is Mahin. I have a very silly question, like very silly. It was asked to Sundar Pichai. What was your GPA after 12 that you got into the John Hopkins? What was your GPA?
अरे ये तो बड़ी फिल्मी कहानी है, but I think my 10th. You're asking my board exam results, no? Or you're asking my undergraduate?
Overall GPA from 10 to 12. Like.
So I studied in Gujarat board. हमारे टाइम में सिर्फ percentage marks होते थे out of 100 percentage होता था. तो मुझे 10th में 92% आए और मेरे को 12th में 84% आए. So nothing. I mean. दोनों आपने ताली क्यों बजाई? अच्छे आए इसलिए कि एवरेज थे और इसलिए.
गुड मॉर्निंग मैम, माई सेल्फ यश मीडिया फ्रॉम CSE फर्स्ट ईयर. मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि आपकी जो जर्नी रही है वो स्ट्रगलिंग भी है और आई थिंक आपने वो एंजॉय भी की होगी. हमको पता है कि हमारी जो जर्नी है वो स्ट्रगल भी होने वाला है. उसमें इंटरेस्ट कैसे जगह हम और इंटरेस्टिंग और एंजॉयबल कैसे बनाए, वो कैसे हो सकता है?
ऐसे now I think about it like that कि कोई डिफिकल्टी आता है ना, आई एम मेकिंग अ स्टोरी. मतलब स्टोरी लिख रही हूँ जो मैं फिर कभी शेयर कर पाऊँ. And then I really think, do I want this to be the end of my story? And if that answer is no, then I keep working till I find the climax to my story. जो मैंने जैसे नेपाल की स्टोरी शेयर की आपके साथ, मुझे ये स्टोरी नहीं बतानी पड़ी. I didn't want to tell the story that it didn't work out, so I had to go home. I wanted to tell the story that even without a passport, I crossed the border. So tell yourself that how do I want to tell this story? जैसे मैं यहाँ बैठी हूँ, आप लोग भी शायद यहाँ बैठ के you will be talking to students younger, 10 साल में you will also be talking to students like this. So maybe just keep that narrative. What is the story you would like to tell them in 10 years?
Hello, my name is Krishna, and I want to ask you how to convince parents. As I tried once to convince my parents, but they were not fully convinced. 80 to 90% they were convinced. So.
ये तो बड़ा मुश्किल सवाल पूछ लिया आपने, बट आई थिंक जब when you see passion, when parents क्यों ना बोलते हैं, पहले first let's break it down without getting emotional about it. Okay, why do parents say no? एक के one reason, सबसे main reason होता है उनका कि उनका अपब्रिंगिंग ऐसे था. That's the context they come from, कि उन्होंने ऐसी लाइफ देखी है, उन्होंने उनके कॉन्टेक्स्ट में वो सही है. ठीक है. Do you mind sharing किस चीज़ के लिए ना बोला था? Then we can take that example and break it down.
Actually, we had University Fest Anand, so I was working as a graphic designer. So late night 8 बजे तक काम करना पड़ता था थोड़ा, तो ना बोलते थे उसके लिए.
अच्छा, तो एक ऑप्शन आप उनको बोल सकते थे कि अगर आपको इतना लग रहा है मेरी चिंता हो रही है तो आप भी वहाँ पे आके बैठ जाओ, आप देखो कि मैं क्या कर रही हूँ, कि क्या हो रहा है. यू गिव देम कॉन्फिडेंस. व्हाई दे सेइंग नो? फॉर योर सेफ्टी. सेकंड कंसर्न होता है कि कुछ गलत नहीं कर रहे बच्चे. वो पेरेंट्स को जब आई थिंक व्हेन एवरीवन विल पेरेंट्स दे विल आल्सो फेस द सेम कंसर्न. तो अंडरस्टैंड कि क्यों ना बोल रहे हैं, ट्राई टू फाइंड अ सोल्यूशन फॉर दोज थिंग्स. आई एम नॉट सेइंग कि हर बार काम करता है, नहीं भी करता है. और काफ़ी टाइम है ना पेरेंट्स को ये भी चिंता लगी रहती है बाकी लोग क्या करेंगे, कि आपकी बेटी. ये मेरे पेरेंट्स के साथ भी हुआ था. जब मैं व्हेन आई टोल्ड देम दैट आई एम गोइंग टू साउथ अमेरिका, मैंने ऐसे बोला था मेरे पापा को कि मुझे इतना ब्रिलियंट आइडिया आया है कि मैं जाऊँगी साउथ अमेरिका अकेली 1.5 महीने के लिए. And no one we didn't know anybody who had gone to South America like that. And my parents wouldn't even let me go. गए थे मेरे फ्रेंड्स गोवा, उन प्लान बनाया था. I was not allowed to go. तो मुझे फ्रेंड्स के साथ भी नहीं जाने देते थे, तो मैं तो अकेली इतना दूर तक. एंड आई टोल्ड माई डैड कि वहाँ पे ये जगह है, वो जगह है, आई सी ऑल दीज थिंग्स, एंड ही वॉज वेरी एक्साइटेड. 2 घंटे के बाद उनका फ़ोन आया कि नो यू विल नॉट. दे हैड बिन विद, वो लोग अपने फ्रेंड्स के साथ बैठे थे, एंड मेरे पापा ने उनके साथ शेयर किया कि रुचि ये जगह जाएगी, वहाँ जाएगी. सब बोलने लगे हम तो हमारी बेटी को कभी नहीं जाने देंगे. वी वुड नेवर लेट आवर डॉटर डू समथिंग लाइक दिस. वो तो इतनी डेंजरस जगह है, वहाँ पे तो ड्रग्स का प्रॉब्लम है, गन वायलेंस है, ये वो. पूरा दिमाग खराब कर दिया मेरे पापा का, उन्होंने ना बोल दिया. बट आई केप्ट परसिस्टिंग एंड देन आई सेड ओके यू वरीड, यू सेंड माय मदर आल्सो. सो ही सेड इतना शॉर्ट नोटिस पे कैसे आएंगे. मैंने बोला नहीं आप मैं 1.5 महीना अकेले ट्रैवल करूँगी, देन लास्ट वीक यू कैन सेंड. कुछ ना कुछ करके देन आई convinced my parents, and my father was also very, like he was a very difficult person to convince. ऐसा नहीं था कि वो sweet थे इसलिए convince हो जाते थे बात में. But like I said, like we will have to, if you feel like you're doing something right and you're doing something with a good intention, then keep persisting. वो भी धीरे-धीरे change. Their heart will also change.
Actually, I tried my best, but मुझसे कन्विंस नहीं हो रहे थे.
और कभी नहीं भी होंगे. That's also
एक सीनियर दीदी है खुशी दीदी करके, तो मैंने एक बार मम्मी की बात उनसे करवाई, तो कन्विंस हो गए उनसे.
तो ऐसे सोचो ना कि कैसे करना है कन्विंस. भले तुम्हारी बात से नहीं हुए, कन्विंस तो हुए, तुमको करने को तो मिला था. दैट्स इम्पोर्टेंट. गुड बात.
थैंक यू.
Excuse me, ma'am. Ma'am, the simple act of giving or helping one person ignites this natural response that I was better, so I had the opportunity to help them. It is somewhat of a superiority complex. Despite of helping so many people on such a large scale, how do you manage to remain so grounded? And on the flip side, while accepting help, how does one manage to not develop an inferiority complex?
So I'll take the second part of your question first. So this happens a lot क्योंकि people and before I started working full time, मेरा भी शायद थोड़ा attitude ऐसा ही था कि हमको लगता है हमको charity करनी है. कि हमको कुछ देना है, बट like you said, it feels very insulting to the person who's on the receiving end. जैसे संकुल में बच्चे हैं, तो अभी some महीने festive months are such that everybody wants to come and give them, मतलब कुछ खिलाना है उनको, केक खिलाना है, which is a very good thought कि we want to spread happiness. बट उसमें और फिर वो लोग आके खिलाते थे. फिर बच्चों ने ये शेयर किया मेरे साथ कि मैम हमको बहुत ऐसे बुरा लगता है, वी फील वेरी स्मॉल दैट यू नो देर गिविंग अस, ऐसे खाना खिला रहे हैं और कुछ देर लाइक खाना खिलाने के दे रहे हैं. सो वी डिसकंटिन्यूड दैट प्रैक्टिस. वी सेड इफ यू वांट टू गिव समथिंग यू गिव. खाना उनका जो सिस्टम है, जो खुद सेल्फ सर्विस सिस्टम है, वो वैसे ही लेंगे. सो वी ऑल नीड टू बी अवेयर कि जब देते हैं तब सामने वाले को दे फील स्मॉल. ह्यूमन है ना, उनका भी सेल्फ रिस्पेक्ट हर्ट होता है ऐसे जब चैरिटी में से. और फिर फोटो खिंचवाते हैं लोग, तो बहुत मुझे आई हेट दैट ऑल दैट. जब ऐसे कुछ चैरिटी करते समय फ़ोटो भी खिंचवाएंगे. सो बी अवेयर. ये नहीं अच्छा लगता जब कोई भी हो, बेगर हो या यू नो पुअर पीपल हो या किसी को भी सर्विस दे रहे हैं, दे डोंट लाइक टू यू नो फील के दे आर इन्फीरियर एंड दे आर स्मॉल, एंड इट डज मेक देम फील दिस वे. एंड I mean, about grounded, I mean, I don't know if I'm grounded or not. I don't know any other way. I just know that we're all humans.
I'm sure you are not.
Thank you. But we're all humans. We all seek the same thing. We all want to be loved and accepted. We all have ambitions. We all face hardships. We all feel alone at times. So, this is your story and this is my story as well.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
I just have one last question, ma'am. So I don't think it is much relevant, but still at the same time, has gender been ever an issue in your journey? Like, you know?
नहीं है, 100%. In fact, मैं जब छोटी थी तब मुझे नहीं लगता था, but now as I'm growing older, I see it, and it is undeniable, you know. और छोटी like my husband is extremely supportive, and he's, you know, he really supports me in whatever I want to do. जब you know, but कहीं how do I say, like there is such subtle चीज़ें. जैसे मेरी बच्ची को अगर my daughter, if she needs to be taken to school, and I had, मेरे से गलती हो गई थी. I thought this was tomorrow, but it was today, this session. So I told him yesterday that, oh, I can't take her to school, can you take her? And he said, you can't tell me last minute, I have meetings. So I was like, if I had messed up, so I would not have the option to say that I can't take her, I have meetings. You know, बहुत सारा judgment आता है उसके साथ. So this thing है ही gender के साथ. Even with going abroad to study, I was the first girl in my family to go to US to study. And then it became much easier for my cousins to go, or my brother to go. But पहले छोटे थे तब ये, this is, you know, the story that my parents tell, that my dad would keep saying मेरे भाई को he'll send to the US to study. You know, he had that dream. And I asked him one day that why not me? And I don't have any memory of that, but वो फीलिंग मुझे तब आई थी कि क्यों, why not me? And even now I think women do face in workplace, women work, so you have a good amount of women workforce in early positions, मतलब जब graduate होके काम कर रहे हैं, and then some in senior positions. और वो बीच में बहुत बड़ा gap हो जाता है because बच्चे होते हैं, बच्चे बड़े हो रहे हैं, there's so many other things, and then women fall out of the workforce. Because yes, even I would love to spend more time with my daughter, and if you know, things are not working, I will leave my work and stay home with her, spend time with her. So these biases very much still do exist. You know, बच्चे भी आते हैं. We saw this during pandemic also, that in Zoom meetings a lot of mothers would sit with their kids because if they're home and there's no one to take care of the kids, they have to attend to them. So I think we need to not feel conscious कि अरे ऐसे बच्चे को लेके कैसे जाए, या फिर how do we talk about our health issues that we feel, but talk openly about it. People will over time get sensitized on those things.
So any parting words, especially for the female students that we have here, young ones, like, you know, just in their first year of graduation, something that would take them over to the rest of the life that's yet to come?
I think dream big. Sometimes people don't expect that from women. People will expect that their sons make it big in life and they do big things or they get very successful. Sometimes women get forgotten, girls get forgotten. But you owe it to yourself to dream big and achieve something and bring that change in mindset of the society. It may not be your parents, because your parents know that you're capable and they want the best for you. But in your family, in your extended friends and society you really make them feel that nahi, ladkiyan bhi kar sakti hain jo ladke karte hain. So it's really our duty to set the tone for the next generation after you, and for the women who come after you, to make things easier for them.
And we can probably just take one more question if anybody has it before we conclude this session and wrap up here.
While we find that other question, can I also say that boys are equally important, have an equally important role to play. If you see, flip side है कि आज women empowerment की इतनी बात होती है कि फिर boys को भूल जाते हैं लोग. But even when you all see, like my heart goes out to you. In fact, it's more difficult for you all also, because you have to be the bread earner of the family. If you want to follow your passion, which may not be so lucrative or mainstream, तो आप लोगों को कम liberty रहता है, while girls have more liberty to do those things. So things are difficult for you all as well. I acknowledge that.